Hey guys, it's Will.
And I'm Mike.
Special ranking here for you. We're going to be ranking all of the movies in the Friday the 13th series. Very excited about this. I'm a big fan of this series. Do you consider yourself a big fan of this series?
I don't know, intermediate fan of this series.
I was probably my favorite horror series, honestly. Yeah, it probably is.
Probably,
if I think about it. I just love Jason.
It's like hit and miss for me, but we'll see that as we go through the rankings.
Okay, but here's my thing. There's no horror series where they're all good.
That's true.
Right?
That's very true.
But I think you have to go first, because I think that your list...
I rated all 12, which includes...
My list has 10 things.
And he'll talk about that when we get to him again, so don't look at my list. I want to hide it.
Okay, he's going to hide his list.
Mine's a little more old-fashioned than Will's. So.
Mine's on my phone.
Let's start from the number 12. For me, number 12 is Friday the 13th, A New Beginning, which is part 5. That's the one where Tommy goes to that halfway house and...
You think that movie is worse than Jason 10?
That's the worst movie in the franchise for me.
There's no universe in which that movie is worse than Jason 10.
It is. To me, it's horrible. That movie's horrible. There is spoiler alert, Jason's not the killer. There is no Jason in that movie. It's just some random EMT.
There are other Friday the 13th movies without Jason, though.
I know, but this one's the worst.
There's at least 2 other ones.
Well, this one's the worst. This is my list. Is this where is it?
No, it's just triggering me. I'm infuriated.
Good. Hopefully it triggers everyone else. To me, it was the worst by far. There's only one scene in it that I liked when he goes to the lunch or whatever they're having with the rest of the halfway house people, and one of them makes fun of him and he just goes ham and whoops his ass for some reason. He can fight in this movie. It's not explained why. But everything else about the movie was just trash. It was horrible.
I don't disagree with you, it's trash, but it's not okay.
It's horrible. All right, number 11, since you don't have an 11. For me, number 11 is Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. It's the 7th one.
This just makes no sense.
It's horrible.
No, it's not. It's not. And B, there's
terrible.
First of all, Freddy vs. Jason is not even a real Jason movie. It's
I don't care.
It's just a trash-ass fucking cash grab, and it sucks.
All of them are cash grabs.
But it's heinously more crass.
No.
Because this is just painful.
Part 7 for me
You're
was
just doing
terrible.
this to piss people off. Because we watched Part 7 together and you didn't mind it.
I didn't mind
You're
it.
just a hog.
Well, this is so I want to preface this by saying, like, The New Beginning, I think, is a horrible movie. I would never watch it again. The New Blood...
You would watch Jason 10 again?
Yeah, I've watched Jason Blood multiple times.
It's like the worst movie ever made.
No, disagreed. We've watched Deathstalker and
it's worse than
Officer Down.
It's not. Nothing is as bad as Officer Down.
Exactly.
It's worse than Deathstalker.
No.
Yes, it is.
No. Okay, so that's for me, The New Blood. The idea of someone having powers and being able to stand up to Jason was cool. The execution was bad. Half the film, they were running back and forth in the same wooded section.
It's not worse than Jason 10.
And the ending where the dad comes out of nowhere for some reason, he's in the lake and he can come back, is just trash. Horrible. Shitty kills, shitty movie. So, number 10.
You're just saying that. You're just saying that.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
You're just saying that to piss people off.
I read about all the movies because I watched all the movies.
We just watched them. Why are you reading about them?
Because I wanted a refresher of all the movies just so I made my list right. I made my list twice.
Just a hog.
I made my list twice, actually, and these two are always on the bottom.
Just a hog.
So, number 10 for me is Jason X.
It's one of the worst movies ever made.
I know, and the other two worst movies ever made are the ones I mentioned.
That movie is so bad that it's not even worth watching as a bad movie.
Nah, I disagree.
It's like the worst late 90s, early 2000s music video ever.
I know, but it's
just horrible.
But it's better than those other two.
No, it's not.
It is.
It really isn't.
It is. We'll see what people say to this, but for me, number 10 is Jason X. It's not a good movie. It's really trashy. It's the production values suck. So the mid to late 90s and early 2000s suffered from like CGI becoming more prevalent, but people sucking at it. So those movies all look bad. It's like the
low point of pop culture, period. It's like boy bands, it's new
metal.
In
the 80s, it was like they still did practical effects. So that stuff holds up. The stuff from like the mid 90s to early 2000 always looks bad because it's like the first few years of CGI and it just looks like shit. Good. Yeah, but The Matrix was a huge budget film. This thing probably was like a $5 million movie. So that's my number 10, Jason X. What about you?
I have the reboot remake from 2009 at number 10.
You're gonna get some hate for that.
It's not a bad movie, but in my mind, if you're saying we're ranking the Friday the 13th series, that's 1 through 9. That is the series.
Yeah.
Because 10 came out like 10 years later. It's different producers, like different everything. And it's just like this thing that exists simply because someone had the intellectual property rights and was like, I'm going to go make this movie. So to me, even if you think that 7 and 5 are worse movies, they can't be worse because they're at least in the continuum of what it was supposed to be instead of just a horrible piece of trash that was shat out by corporate machinery because someone owned the rights to it. So again, the reboot I don't think is a bad movie. Like I really enjoyed it the first time I saw it. It's on Netflix right now, I think. I watched it on Netflix not too long ago, and I enjoyed it again. It's really violent.
It's very violent.
It's really silly. Like in certain parts, like some of the characters are really goofy and entertaining. I think it's Is it the highest grossing movie in the series? It did pretty well when it came out.
It probably is.
I mean, obviously you have the fact that it came out 30 years later, so like it's making more money because people are spending more money on movies because tickets are more expensive. But I don't dislike it. I just don't think if I'm ranking the Friday the 13th series, to me that is absolutely like the first 9 and that's it. I don't count anything else.
All right. Well, I do, and it's elsewhere from me. So I don't know why you're making them pig noises.
Because you're just being a belligerent hog and doing whatever you want for the sake of hoggery.
It's my ranking,
it's
right?
Like the hog in the wallow.
It's my ranking. We'll see who's
rooting for truffles.
So all right. So should we go to number 9?
Let's do it. Yeah.
So for me, you're not gonna be happy with this either. For me, number 9 is Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday, which is number 9 in the series. Uh-huh. That's the one where that like coroner eats him for some reason, and like his spirit takes over.
Well, he gets killed. Yeah, and they cut his heart out, and like the coroner eats his heart.
And his spirit. It's a lot more supernatural, where it's like he's like a presence, and he invades people and takes over, and they go to kill. This isn't actually a bad movie.
And the Necronomicon is in it from Evil Dead.
For some reason. I actually enjoy this movie. There's a Duke in it who's hunting him for some reason, and then he's not really that formidable at all, which is kind of a letdown. But like it's not a bad movie. I actually quite enjoyed it. So every kind of movie up from here are movies that I actually enjoy and will watch again. But it's a ranking. We have to put it somewhere, and I think the other movies are better than it. Just because...
You think Freddy vs. Jason is better than that movie?
Yeah, because Freddy vs. Jason is like a guilty pleasure of just trash. So, oh man, you're going to be enraged by the rest of my list then. Okay. It's amazing. It's going to be good. You're in for a treat, everybody.
Number 9?
Yeah, what's your 9?
Part 5. It's a bad movie.
It's terrible.
But it's not worse than...
You were just trashing me, and now you're saying it's a bad movie.
It's not worse than those other movies.
It's so much worse.
That's the point. It's relative. It's not a good movie. It's bad and it's stupid and Jason's not in it. It doesn't make any sense.
Remember when that the tubby kid got killed in the beginning and no one seemed to care?
No one cared at all.
At all.
At all.
Except the EMT guy.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler. Don't watch this. Yeah, if spoilers are.
It's just not. And I remember the first time I watched the entire Jason series. I had seen individual movies in the series. The first time I watched the whole series all the way through was the summer after I graduated from college. And I still remember thinking then, and I was just like, there was a video store down the street from my house, and right next to that was a liquor store. So my friend and I would go and we would get 40s, and we would rent movies, and we would just drink and watch trashy horror movies. Like, we weren't trying to, appreciate them as cinema. We're like, this just have fun. And even then, I was like, man, this movie sucks.
Yeah, it was bad. I don't think we need to talk more about it. It's a bad movie. So we're at number 8?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to hate this. So for number 8, I have Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. We actually watched this not too long ago. And the part, well, first of all, there's not, I know he's in Manhattan, but you see, 2 streets and then, Times Square for, 2 minutes. The other, 80% of the movie is on a boat. And it's kind of boring.
Well, and also, they're supposed to be in upstate New York, because they do say we're going downstate, right? But there's 20,000-foot mountains. They're obviously in Vancouver or Alaska or somewhere. There are mountains in upstate New York, but they're not 20,000-foot tall mountains. They're 3,000.
And I always get confused, because to me, Jason just if you're in his way, he's gonna kill you, right? But in this movie, there's scenes where he's presented with the opportunity to kill people, and he's only killing these 2 or 3 people, and they have really nothing to do with him. So it's why is he hell-bent? Once he gets to New York, he should just go ham right on everybody around him.
Well, they wake him up, don't they?
Yeah, but that's thank you. Thank you for waking me up.
Right.
But he doesn't,
Well, but come on, some of it, when he's in Times Square, and he shows those kids his face.
Yeah.
That's just
But why wouldn't he kill him?
Because it's just a joke.
I know. This movie is a lot more is basically a comedy, right? It's not scary at all.
And like, why are there like
punches him in his head?
There's like
flies
a high
off.
school senior. Like one of the plot devices is that they have to present their final projects to the principal on the boat, right? And the girl tries to seduce him or something, or say what is that?
She tries to seduce him,
so
and like the little nerd with the video camera tapes it, and
he's like, yeah.
I will say some of the kills in the movie are pretty good. The guitar's fun, where that kid with the camera gets thrown.
Well, the best one is the boxing, which is one of the best kills in the whole series.
And the head goes flying.
Yeah.
If you watched the Friday the 13th edit I make, it's in that.
The synthwave edit. Yeah, go watch that if you haven't watched it yet.
So that's 8 for me. What's 8 for you?
9. Part 9. I don't dislike, again, like you said, I think that Part 9 is a really good movie. It just doesn't feel like a Jason movie, even though he's in it. And like the scene in the diner, I thought was awesome. You remember that scene?
That was fun.
And the scene in the house at the end, like that movie to me is like, because was Sam Raimi like a producer on that movie? I feel like he had something to do with that movie. And like Sam Raimi's obvious like affection for trash movies and like grindhouse movies, but also like really old horror, like Hammer, Universal horror, like the monster movies. Yeah. Like I see all of that in there, and I really appreciate it. But if you're ranking the Jason movies as Jason movies, I have to put it near the bottom.
It feels like a collection of good scenes tied together with crappy transitions.
This police station scene is really good too.
Yeah, because like
they all have weak plots.
But you know what I mean. Like, the set pieces are good. Like the diner, the police station, the house, good.
Weak
all the stuff in between.
None of them have plots.
Not my top ones.
It's just murder.
Not my top ones. All right, so that was 8, right?
Yeah.
So number 7 for me, maybe a controversial pick, is Friday the 13th, Part 1. The very first one.
That's actually my number 7 too.
That kicked it off. I think like it's regarded better because it kicked off the whole franchise. Mm-hmm. But if you go back and watch it, it's not a great film.
No, I mean the best part for me is when Kevin Bacon gets the arrow through his.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And again, like we were talking about, it's not really a Jason film because spoiler alert, the killer is his mom. It's not actually Jason. Yeah. He's not in until the very end.
Which I just realized I've been rewatching the Scream movies, and in the second Scream movie, the killer is the mom, the kid from the first movie, and it's almost like a spoof on Jason because it's like, well, we'll kill the killer, and then the mom will be the killer. Yeah.
So while it got everything going, I don't think if it was a standalone film without any sequels, it wouldn't be a very good film. It's like
a really low budget. Because it came out in 1980, right?
Yeah,
like
it tried to be Halloween, but it's not.
It's like the tail end of 70s Grindhouse, basically. And it's not like... It was before these movies started getting more investment in them. Like, if you watch Nightmare on Elm Street, which was 84, right? Like, there's obviously some money being put into that. Like, the gore effects are really good. There's lots of makeup, the costumes. Like, with the first Jason movie, it was like... And actually...
You don't really see the killer. It's like you see a POV, right?
In Search of Darkness, right?
Yeah.
That horror documentary that's coming out... and if you're watching this on Instagram, actually, I think there's a link in our bio to where you can go and find out more about that. Because Mike actually ordered the Blu-ray.
We'll definitely do a
We're really excited to watch that. Yeah, but there's a clip that they put out where they're interviewing the people involved in the first Friday the 13th movie, and the director's like, we had no idea this would be a hit.
Right.
Like we had no money. We didn't know who the audience was. Like we had no idea what was.
It's just
there's just like a
film.
trashy script about all these people being murdered, and it's
trash.
Like,
So yeah, we agree on one.
Yep. What do you have for 6?
Number 6, I have Friday the 13th Part 3.
Okay.
That's the
3D.
Yeah, in 3D. We don't watch in 3D. That's the one. What I remember well about it is that's the one with the bikers.
Yep.
And I think it's the first one he has.
That's where he gets his mask, right? Because he's like stumbling around in a store.
The biker stuff is confusing because they really had nothing to do with the plot. They just kind of stumble in.
Yeah.
But I thought some of the scenes were fun, and I thought the whole kind of ending battle between like the main girl, I forgot her name, and Jason's pretty good because it's kind of long. Like she keeps getting away from him and hiding and climbing
barn,
in the barn, and then she hangs him and he comes off, and so it's like it's pretty cool. It's a pretty good movie. What's your number? 6?
What are we on now? 6. Number 6. I have Part 8. Well, I mean, I think we said enough about that movie. Like, I think that movie is interesting to me because some aspects of it are really, really like the cinematography. I think is really good in that movie, and like the visual design, and like it's visually more distinct than a lot of Jason movies. But then there are elements to it too where you're just like, it's too ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even, like, the script is like terrible, ridiculous slasher movie script. The director and the cinematographer and like I guess like the technical people involved felt like they were making a really good movie, and it's like it's at odds. Like it's
what about
weird,
that guy in the boat
but-
who keeps telling them they're gonna die for no reason?
I forgot about that guy.
That was the best guy in the movie.
It's just a weird like.
It's like he has
and
The
there's
Shining.
like remember there's the whole thing where like one of the kids' dads is the captain of the boat.
Yeah,
And you have this kind of like 80s movie trope of like
a coming of age thing.
he's like the Charlie Sheen character almost from like the Brat Pack movies who like is a rebel and not doing what his dad wants him to do, and like I just feel like they tried to do everything that you would do in an 80s movie, and it just is not all working.
Yeah. All right, number 5.
Yeah, 5.
You're about to be enraged. You ready?
Why?
Friday the 13th, Part 6. Jason Lynch.
No.
Yeah.
You don't even like these movies. You're just
like
trying
these
to make
movies.
people mad.
No, I'm
you
not.
don't.
You're
just a hog trolling people.
I've seen tons of horror films.
That
This
doesn't
is
mean you
great
like them.
ranking. I like them. I love
You're
them.
just a sociopath and you like to watch murder.
It's true. It's funny when people die. So Part 6. It's
Just a hog.
a fun movie, but basically we talked about this before. Part 6 is basically a satire, and it's like a comedy. There's like nothing serious or scary about it.
None of them are scary.
None of them. Yeah, most slasher films in general aren't scary.
Most horror movies aren't scary.
Yeah. But this one's just like ramps it up, and it's meant to be a comedy. You're meant to laugh throughout. You're meant to root for Jason, not any of the kids. It has some. You
don't want the little kids to
No,
die.
not the little kids. But it has some really cool death scenes. I think my favorite one is when the cop, the dad of the main girl,
yeah.
and he kind of like
folds
folds.
him in
It's
half.
so like the thought of that is just like really brutal. And the opening set in that graveyard and it looks like a fucking old like
It's like
Gothic
Frankenstein or
Hammer
something.
Frankenstein
Yeah, it's
movie.
amazing.
It's pretty cool.
What a hog.
Well,
He's just trolling
I can't make
people.
everything
He's
number 1.
trolling people.
Can't make everything number 1.
What was that, 5?
That's 5. What'd you put 5?
I have number 7. I like 7. Because 7 was supposed to be like a fire starter type
Yeah.
movie about a woman with psychic powers and like her trauma, and then they were like, well, let's make it a Jason movie, and so you have her fighting Jason, which is just it's an interesting twist on like the formula of people in the woods just murder, and you have like the evil psychiatrist who's like trying to manipulate her,
Yeah.
and he's got their I thought it was interesting.
I'm not
I
a
don't think
fan.
it's like a great movie, but I would say that is more interesting than any of the other movies I've listed so far, just in terms of the concept of it. Like, I'm more intrigued to see what happens with that than I am than any of the other movies I've listed before.
Well, it's okay to be wrong. All right,
To be wrong, you just listed the best one as number 6 or something.
Well, spoiler alert. I wonder
Wild
what number 1 on Will's
hog.
list is. All right, so number 4. Are we number 4 now?
Yeah.
Number 4. Freddy vs. Jason.
There's no way
There's
that's
a
the
way.
4th best one.
It's as ridiculous as Jason Takes Manhattan and the 6th one.
It's more.
It's super
Freddy
goofy.
winks when he cuts his head off.
Hell yeah.
There's nothing in part 8 that's that ridiculous.
the head and flying.
No.
Yes.
Jason really would knock your head off if he
Not
punched
like
you.
that. It's like
Yes,
a smooth
he would.
cut. There's
He
like
would
a
knock
smooth
his
cut.
head off.
There's no veins,
It's
nothing,
amazing.
no blood. It's like a
But
smooth
the
cut.
difference for me is that the Jason movies in the original series that are ridiculous are like lovingly so. And Freddy vs. Jason is like these morons who think that they're clever, but who clearly demonstrate through their ineptitude and everything that they do how moronic they are, trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And it's just brutally offensive and
awful.
moronic. I can't put that movie on
He doesn't
my
even
list.
rank it.
Because
but
it's garbage. It shouldn't even
everyone wanted to
exist.
see Freddy vs. Jason. They finally got it. It was a
And it's
it was
horrible.
a comedy.
It's horrible.
There's some cool scenes in it.
No, there's
I'm putting
nothing
it number
interesting
4.
about it at all.
It's number 4 on
it's
my
like
list.
It's like 10. It's like a trashy music video.
It's way better than 10.
Made by incompetent morons.
It's way better than
with
10.
no redeemable anything about it at all.
So what's your number 4 then?
It's just horrible. Part 3, 3D.
Okay.
It's just fun. It's like, to me,
It's a
that's
fun
like
movie.
if you knew the reputation of Jason movies, but you had never seen one, and you saw that one, I feel like it would be exactly what you expected to see. It's
Yeah.
Jason in a hockey mask in the woods killing people.
Very small location.
And it's like entertaining.
Yeah.
It's fun. It has the bikers for some reason.
The bikers are fun,
like
though.
whatever. But it is exactly what you expect it to be, and I think it's successful.
Makes sense. Number 3?
Go, yeah.
All right, for me, the third one is Friday the 13th, the remake. Because
That's not the third
Yeah.
best
Yeah.
one.
yeah,
You're
it is.
such a hog.
Because for me, you tell it's out of the timeline for you. For me, the way I rank these is just by the movies
Just
in this franchise.
There's no way that's the
and if you
third
judge it by
best
itself,
one. No,
I think it's the third best one. It is.
Not.
It's definitely the third best one.
Just
Settle down.
Just a belligerent animal.
It was brutal. It's probably one of the most brutal Jason movies. It was dark. It was violent. It brought the series back.
It didn't, because there hasn't been another one.
There will be. Don't worry.
That didn't bring anything back.
They brought it back for
one movie.
Couple, yeah, how much do you want?
That's not bringing it back. That's one movie.
Yeah, I put it third.
Hog.
You're the hog.
That level of belligerence is just, it's like impossible.
Well, what's your third one?
Number 2.
Number 2?
Yeah.
All right.
I just think it's a really good movie. It's innovative. It's violent. It's like the first one where you get Jason, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like number 3. Like, I feel like 2 and 3 are very similar, but 2 is better. It's like, minus the hockey mask, it's everything you would expect to see from a Jason movie. I think 2 is a little bit darker. It's a little bit more disturbing. It's a little bit more violent. But I think that they're very kind of similar setups of like, here's Camp Crystal Lake, here's the woods, here's people who need to die, here's Jason, and go. Yeah.
Yeah. Can't argue with that, because that is actually my number 2, is Friday the 13th Part 2. Actually, it's weird, because I think he's scarier with the
well, because that's creepy.
Right? It's creepy. He's also more human in it, right? Mm-hmm. Which to me, like a movie about a serial killer or like a human is a little scary, because it's more believable. It's like there really could be this like disfigured dude in the woods.
Yeah, he's not supernatural.
He's not supernatural. He can be hurt, and he can be hurt bad, and he can be stopped. It's just he's a big dude, and he's like chasing down these teenagers who have like no chance of fighting him, because he's massive and shit. But and like, you know, everything that Will said, there's some cool kills. The best one's probably
and it does
wheelchair.
It does like interesting digging into the. I thought that was in the third one.
Is it?
Wheelchair.
No, I think it's in the second one.
I thought it was in the third one. The psychology of Jason is like kind of comes and goes in the movies.
Yeah, you kind of see his
there's
house.
the whole thing where, spoiler alert,
she does the mom.
She pretends to be the mom, and that's how she stops.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Part 4.
Oh yeah.
Which to me is like the ultimate Jason movie, I guess, in a way. It's like, again, as I said with number 3, like, but like to me that is the ultimate like, and it's directed by Joseph Zito, by the way. Fun fact: who directed Invasion USA, right? But it's like,
did he do?
He did some Chuck Norris movies.
I thought he did Maniac too.
No, that's William Lustig, isn't it? Who directed Maniac?
I don't know. Yeah, I think you're right.
I
think you're right.
Friday the 13th Part 4 is like, there's no pretense of any story at all. It's like, here's young, hot people. They're in the woods. Here's Jason. Corey Feldman is in it, right? Yeah. He's like the next door neighbor.
Crispin Glover's in it.
And it's like, he's just going to brutalize these people. It's a brutal film. It's violent. It's remorseless. And it's not like overly, because some movies, especially stuff like more recent stuff like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, which is really gruesome, I feel like is violent simply because they're like, it's a horror movie, we have to make it like the most grotesque, disgusting thing ever. Like, I think this movie does a good job of being brutal and remorseless and like showing you what this is like and who this character is without being like exploitative and disgusting and like, I don't want to watch that. Right. It's like walks the line really well. But it's just like, to me, it is like the ultimate distilled essence of why people like these movies and what makes them good. And it's just awesome.
Should we hop into our number 1s?
Well,
I mean, it's pretty obvious.
People know now.
People know. For me, it's Friday the 13th Part 4. Mainly for a lot of the things you just said. It is like, if you're going to tell someone, it's like, no, they've never seen a Jason movie, and you're like, they can watch one to get what Friday the 13th is all about. That's the one they should watch, because, like you said, you get Jason. He's really brutal. He's killing a bunch of people. It's a simple location. It's the stereotypical teens he always goes after. It's really violent from the very beginning when he comes out of the morning, just like fucking chain, like uses like chain, like a saw on that guy's head.
Cuts the guy's head, yeah.
And like the Crispin Glover, he gets like the corkscrew through his hand, and then like a machete through his face, and it's a very violent, brutal film. And that's where we meet like Tommy Jarvis for the first time. He's like
the kid. He's Corey
the
Feldman,
kid,
right?
and he goes ham on him in the end. Yeah. Which was in the fourth one, he's still kind of a human because he kills him in the end. And
well, again, it was supposed to be. I think that 3 and 4 were both originally intended to be the last Jason movie.
Yeah, they probably just made too much money in there.
Well, and 5 doesn't have Jason in it, so they were obviously trying to break away from it, and then it didn't work.
It just didn't work. So
Is it part
Well,
6 to me
part six,
is
yeah.
the ultimate best Jason movie. This is one of my favorite movies ever. It's not just my favorite Jason movie, and there's like a million reasons, and I could talk about it forever. I'm just to try to be as brief as I can. First of all, like Mike said, it's a satire, but not like a stupid spoof or like a parody. It's like a really good satire that is like aware of what it is, and I think like the perfect example of this is RoboCop, right? Like in order to be a good satire, you have to be the thing that you're satirizing, and you have to be aware of yourself, right? So like RoboCop is a really good action movie, but RoboCop is also very aware of the fact that it is a really violent action movie, and it is satirizing what that means to be that movie. And I think this does that really well, because I think that like the kills are really good. I think the atmosphere is really good. I think it looks really good, but it's also like there's a scene where when I tell people I think this movie is a great satire, they think I'm just making this up and that I'm just seeing things in it that don't really exist because I'm like being too intellectual about it. There's a scene where there's a kid lying in bed at Camp Crystal Lake and he is reading No Exit by Sartre, right? Jean-Paul Sartre, the French existentialist. And then you cut to a hamster in a wheel, and then you cut to Jason, and it's like, it's like, I mean, it's ridiculous, right? But it's like, as this child is reading a play with the whole philosophy of which is summed up in the line "Hell is other people," and then you cut to a hamster that cannot escape this wheel that it's running in, and then you cut to Jason, who is like the ultimate harbinger of death, who cannot be escaped. And it's like the whole movie is about like mortality and the fact that even these children at some point will die, and it maybe Jason will kill them, but something is going to get them. But it's just funny as hell.
It's a good movie.
It works really well. You mentioned the Universal Monsters thing. Like, it's obviously, like,
it's a good movie.
Aware of, like, Frankenstein and stuff like that. It's just so good.
Fun kills, fun characters, memorable. It's good.
So there you go.
There's our list. So who do you think is better? Is it Will's?
Obviously.
And I think we'll post a list somewhere on Instagram or below in the comments. So
tell us what you think. Like, give us
let
your
us know.
list.
What is your list?
Let us know, because if we get enough comments, we could actually do a points tally, count them up, and be this is the definitive what everyone thinks list.
It'd be fun. I mean, I'm guessing our viewers will have a list that'll enrage both of us, but
well, we'll do the thing of like a 10.
Jason X will be
10th
1.
place vote is worth 1 point. 9th place is worth 2 points, like that.
Yeah.
But then I'll weight mine so it's worth 100 points, 200 points.
Because he's afraid his list will lose. So that was our ranking.
So there you go. Yeah.
Happy Halloween, I guess. Enjoy
the list. Let
soon
us know what you
or
think.
today or whenever we post
this. And it's close to Halloween now, so it'll be soon. And this has been a Terrible Infant production, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good one.